of your life. I have personally filled up my calendar with great speakers. The last 4 weeks, I've gotten great speakers. You've seen them from Speakers Playhouse. It's Thursdays. For me, it's like 2 o'clock. But what time is it for you, Kimberly?
So we do it at 10:30 in the morning to noon Pacific Standard Time. I think it's Pacific Standard. It might be Pacific Daylight Time. I'm not sure which we're in right now. But yeah, so it's 10:30 a.m. to noon Los Angeles time.
All right. So, Kimberly, I brought you here because you're into events. You host great events, and I want to know more about that. How'd you get into events?
Awesome. So that's a really great question. My partner Ginny Trask and I actually met on the Marketers Cruise a year and a half ago, just before COVID struck. And I was doing summits. I had created a lot of virtual summits, and summits are an opportunity to create an event. It could be 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Some people do them for 30 days, where you have guest speakers on. It's sort of like going to a conference and seeing a bunch of different speakers talk on different expert subjects. And you can choose which ones you go see, and you could take lunch, whatever you want to, and things like that. So virtual summits are done the same way, only they're done over Zoom, just like this. And I had been doing that since 2018. So for about a year and a half before I met her. When I met her, she talked about doing live events, like in-person events. And she said, I could never do virtual events. I'm so nervous about that. Like, how would you ever do that? And I said, well, pleased to meet you, because I can never do in-person events. Like, I don't know how people manage the travel, and how people figure out how to do the hotel rooms and all that stuff. So we became fast friends, and I said, I'll teach you mine if you teach me yours. And we did. So from that, I taught her how to do summits. Her first summit was a huge success. She had 1,000 people registered for it. She had, I think, 36 speakers on. It was a big, big success. And she's like, we should teach this to other people, and so that they can learn how to do this as well, because it was such a big success. And that was the virtual piece. And then we started creating a live event. Well, COVID had hit, right? So we had to figure out how we were going to do that. But she, being in the travel industry, had figured out how to safely travel people during COVID. She knew all of the rules and all of the legislation and all of the protection, personal protection equipment and everything. And she actually taught the hospitality industry how to travel people safely during COVID, very early on, when COVID was first a thing. And from that, we actually decided to put on an event in New Orleans to teach people how to be public speakers, so as entrepreneurs, and to get your message out there. So we had the very, very first inaugural public, it was called the now you got me, Entrepreneur Speaker Retreat in New Orleans, Louisiana. And we had a great time doing that. And then we had our second one just recently in New Orleans. And now we're going to have our third one in February of this coming year, 2022. And it's a fantastic event where people come and they learn all about the different types of public speaking, not just one type, but multiple types. We bring in luminaries, we bring in 7 different people to teach on all kinds of different ways to get on stage and either spread your message or earn a living from it. And really develop your skills as a public speaker. So that has become a huge thing for me, creating events, creating shows, creating podcasts, live streams, just like this, and teaching other people how to do it.
Sounds great. Can you share some of the benefits of being on stage?
Oh my gosh. So I believe, Erica, that I think, first of all, you're going to heaven. I don't know if you know that, but you're going straight to heaven, because anybody who creates room for another entrepreneur or speaker to get their message out into the world goes straight to heaven. It's true. I looked it up. It's true. So congratulations for that. And I believe that if you're not being seen, you're being overlooked. If you're not being heard, your message isn't getting out there. And if you are not consistently getting your message out on stages, just like this one, then it's not going to have the impact you want it to make before you leave this planet. I believe that if there are people out there who are saying, oh, I get all of my business by referral, that's great, but you're only affecting a very small percentage of the population. Once you get on a stage and you spread your message globally or even locally to a group of people, imagine just giving a talk to 100 people in a room. Now you're affecting 100 people instead of just that one referral, right? And maybe all 100 of those people don't walk away and become your customer immediately, but some of them will take away the knowledge that they got from you, and they will change how they show up in the world because you poured into them. So that's what I believe the effect of public speaking is. Every time you grab the mic, you have the potential for creating magic in somebody else's life. That's a quote from my amazing partner, Jenny Trask. And it's so true. If you get on the mic and you share your message about what you believe is so powerful in the world, you're impacting the lives of many, many others and contributing to them and pouring into them. Whether or not they buy from you in the end, they're still picking up who you are and how you show up in the world.
It's very nice. I really like that because when you're on stage, you get to speak to that one to many, and more people refer you. So you don't have to just get one referral to work with. You can have a lot of referrals at one time.
That's very true. So even if you're speaking to a group and an audience and a large audience, and they're not all your target market, like let's say you and I only serve women, right? And we're invited to speak in an auditorium full of students, right? Maybe college students, right? Only 50% or maybe slightly more are women. And then when we go and speak to them, there are men in the audience, and we're thinking, oh, they're not all our target market. Well, all of those men have women in their lives. They have a mom at very least, right? All of us have a mom. And they have other women that are in their lives, girlfriends, friends, roommates, colleagues, people they work with, all kinds of different people. And if they hear us speak and they think, you know what? Sabrina needs to hear that message, and I'm going to refer so-and-so to Erica, Sabrina to Erica, because I know she needs to hear that message. So no matter who you're speaking to, they might be your next referral partner.
That's very good. So how did you get started with speaking, and how did you get other people to realize that speaking is good for them?
Community theater when I was young. In fact, my brother and I had what I call my very first paid speaking gig. At age, I was a paid speaker, and had a really great opportunity to get on stage very early. And then from there, I actually didn't, there's Toastmasters out there that help speakers and things like that. I actually graduated from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in communication before I even really joined a Toastmasters club. I didn't join a Toastmasters club until I was in my 30s. And when I went, I was like, what's this? This is awesome. Like, this is a great opportunity to get on stage every single week. Why would people not want to do that, right? Because it's a very nerve-wracking thing. Your second question was like, the first question was like, when did I start speaking? Very early on. Your second question was like, how do I convince other people that public speaking is a good thing to do? Well, public speaking is a fear worse than death for many people, right? They did a survey and they said, you know, what are your greatest fears in life? And there was spiders and snakes and, you know, all kinds of things on there, but also was death, and also was public speaking. And public speaking was a greater fear than death. So it turns out that there are many people who would rather be in the casket than the one giving the eulogy, right? I would rather be dead than actually speaking to the audience, right? So it can be a fear worse than death for many people, that they just get paralyzed with it. So for those people, I say that if you're not being seen, you're being overlooked. Do you really want your message that you have, something that's very, very powerful that you can help other people in the world with? Do you want that to go and be overlooked? Do you want to not contribute that message out there to the world? And they may say, well, you know, yeah, but then I get nervous to get on stage. So I have a trick, sort of a mindset shift for your audience who may have a fear of public speaking. Would you like me to share it?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. So if you are not a natural public speaker and you feel like you get very, very nervous before you get on stage, I can't just tell you as an extrovert, oh, get over it. Because you're feeling real feelings. Your feelings might be that your stomach is flip-flopping. You might have your breathing constricted. You might feel like your throat is tightening up. You might feel ringing in your ears, or your mind is spinning, or you're very, very nervous, right? All of those feelings are real feelings. So if I just say to you, Erica, just get over it, get on stage, you're like, but this is real that I'm experiencing. But the mindset shift is those feelings, let's acknowledge them. Let's say, yes, they are real. You've got the butterflies, you've got the fast breathing, you've got the throat closing up, and you have the ears ringing and the mind spinning. But those are actually also symptoms of being excited about something. Imagine getting on a roller coaster if you like roller coasters. I don't really like roller coasters, but if you do, you have those same feelings. Your stomach is doing flip-flops. You've got butterflies. Your throat is closing out. Your breathing is more rapid. Your ears might be ringing and your head is spinning, thinking about going on this roller coaster, and you're excited about it, right? So if you're excited about the roller coaster, imagine being excited about getting on stage. So the next time you tell yourself, I'm nervous to get on stage, just shift that a little bit and say, I'm excited to get on stage.
I like being excited, but yeah, when I first started doing the live stream, I was told going on with a friend would help calm the nervousness. You know, it really did. I was really very scared, but having a partner to talk to, interview, made it a lot better for me.
That is really good advice. And as a matter of fact, it's funny you bring that up because when people say, I'll poll a room of like when we were in New Orleans, I would poll the room and say, is everybody given a Facebook Live? Is anybody not given a Facebook Live? And well, actually, I would say, who's given a Facebook Live? And about 70% of the audience would raise their hands because they're proud of it, right? If you say, who's never given a Facebook Live, people are not going to admit that, right? So you have to ask it the other way. So for the people who were sitting there that did not raise their hand, I would say, here's what you do. Facebook Lives, you're not going to die from them. Nobody's ever died from giving a Facebook Live, as far as I know. So what you need to do is look at the hands that are raised, go up to them at the break and say, I want to learn how to do a Facebook Live, and have them do a Facebook Live with you and hold your hand. And it might just be, hi, I'm Kimberly and we're here on Facebook Live with Erica. Erica, say hello. And it might be, hello. And the other person does the whole thing, but at least you haven't died from doing your first Facebook Live, right? So find a friend is an extremely good strategy. You're exactly right, Erica. Find a friend who's done it before and have a conversation with them, because it's just one other person that you're already willing to have a conversation with, and then you're just doing it on camera. And that may be where the nerves come up, but if you've done a Facebook Live with somebody who's done it before, they may make you feel a lot more confident about doing it.
Yeah, I started with the Facebook Live.
Yeah.
I set up a LinkedIn event and I asked my LinkedIn connections to join me on Facebook. And I was deleted so many times. My feelings were hurt. But now I multi-stream. I no longer ask people to meet me where I am. I say, wherever you are, I'm most likely streaming there.
Oh my gosh, that's such a great idea. Meet people where they are and connect with them in the way they like to be connected with. That's so powerful, Erica. So when I first started, I wasn't always an entrepreneur. I wasn't always a paid speaker. I was a paid speaker when I was 7, so maybe always. But I worked in corporate, right? And in corporate, I was serving B2C, business to customer, B2B, business to business, right? Like I was selling other businesses my products and services. And that a lot of that business was done on LinkedIn, right? I had a huge LinkedIn following, still do, had a very, very large LinkedIn following. But then when I started catering to speakers and entrepreneurs, they weren't really on LinkedIn. They were on Facebook. And so I had to meet them where they were on Facebook. Now, I was that girl who said, I don't have a Facebook profile. All those people say it, like all they do is say, like, post pictures of what they're having for breakfast. Why would I waste my time with that, right? I was that girl who had that attitude. And now, of course, I'm on Facebook and I do Facebook Lives, and I have a large following. In this group that we're streaming in, I think we have 2,700 or close to that in members of our Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel group. And it's a great opportunity to be able to connect with people right where they are, exactly as you said.
Yeah. And it is a great group. Anybody who's not in that group, please check it out.
Thank you.
Could you tell us how you got started with Speakers Playhouse?
Oh my gosh, Speakers Playhouse was an inspiration because we had a lot of people that were wanting to come to the Entrepreneur Speaker Retreat, but they were nervous about doing Facebook Lives. They didn't know how to find stages. They didn't know how to find podcasts like this amazing podcast, Talk Virtual. They didn't know where to go to find show hosts. And so we decided to create a networking event for people to come and play together that were speakers looking for stages and stages looking for speakers. But I am all about fun. So I believe if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. So our primary motivation was, let's have fun, right? So we come into Speakers Playhouse. It's extremely high energy. It is like rapid fire networking, speed dating for entrepreneurs and speakers and show hosts to be able to come out. We have the show hosts like you yourself come out and say, I have this amazing show. I'm Erica. I have this amazing show called Talk Virtual, and I'm looking for entrepreneurs to share their story. And to contact me, my information is in the chat. And then all of the speakers that are on there will be able to reach out to the show hosts and be able to connect with them. Then we have the speakers come up and share their talk titles. So they'll say, I'm Kimberly. I speak on how to speak on stages and how to maximize your revenue from each one. And I'm looking for stages that are podcasts that are in front of entrepreneurs. And then the show host will be looking at those saying, oh, actually, I would love to have you on my stage, right? So it's an opportunity to book yourself and fill your calendar with speaking engagements. Now, if you're nervous about speaking, just come, pay attention and sort of lurk in the background, and you can see how other people do it and learn a little bit from them. You can create your own stages and you can maximize the opportunity to get seen and heard. Even if it's just grabbing the mic for a few minutes and saying, or a few seconds really, and saying, I'm Kimberly, this is what I do, this is what I'm passionate about. That can be as much as you can do today, and that's perfectly fine. But Speakers Playhouse 17 weeks ago got even better. Now we do a drop, what we call a Playhouse Drop, every single week. And the Playhouse Drop is a free program, which normally costs $197 from one of our partners, one of our Playhouse partners. And they come in and they share a program that they normally charge for, or a brand new program that we've created. And they give it away to the entire group that's there live. You have to be there to get it. You have to get there to get it. They give it away for free. And it is a 3 hours worth of content of what, plus sometimes worksheets, sometimes homework, sometimes all kinds of extra things. And they're giving it away for free during Speakers Playhouse. So if you're thinking that you might need a class on, for example, introverts for public speaking, or how to shine on stage with virtually no notice, or how to create your amazing downloadable, or tech help for entrepreneurs and speakers, all of those have been opportunities that we have given. If your concern is closing ratios or how to sell from stage, all of those have been courses that we have dropped during the Playhouse Drop. So if you're thinking about public speaking, we would love to have you come play in the Speakers Playhouse. We promise it will be hashtag the best 90 minutes of your week, or your money back.
Really is. Not only is it high energy, it is a live show with active members. So you host a live and engaging show. I mean, you could probably charge for this. Like, I know you got a membership coming up, but I got to tell people what I like about Speakers Playhouse. We were in breakout rooms and a lady said that she did not have a stage. And everybody's like, well, create one. She's like, how? And everybody's like, go to Facebook right now, make a group. And she did it. And before it was over, she had 20 speakers. So she had booked her calendar out for like 2 months because she listened to everyone. Everyone was so helpful and engaging, and stuff got done.
That is
I like
amazing.
that.
I love our breakout rooms. Our breakout rooms are usually about 5 to 7 people, and they go in and they solve a problem about public speaking, right? So, and the one that Erica described was so powerful. Create your own stage, right? I can't find stages. I don't know where to speak. I can't find somebody who speaks to my audience. Great, create a stage. Go on Facebook and do Wednesdays at 1, Tuesdays at 2, Thursdays at 3, Fridays at 5, or any of those, and say, okay, I have a weekly show, Fridays at 5, and I would love to interview whoever, authors, coaches, speakers, entrepreneurs, whoever is your target market, and be able to collaborate with other people who serve the same market and have them come and speak on an aspect similar or complementary to what you offer. And that can be very powerful. So I have stages called the, and as a matter of fact, we're booking right now for something called the Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel Web Summit. So if you serve entrepreneurs, you can speak on this summit. it gets advertised to a group of 250,000 combined list people. And it's absolutely amazing. We have over 1,000 people registered for each summit. We actually have 675, I think, registered for the summit. We haven't even advertised it yet. And because we have a following, we have people that are ready to listen to what the speakers have to say. So it's a great opportunity to be able to create your own stage if nobody will give you a stage, but there's lots of people who will give you a stage.
Yeah. And like I said before, I've gotten great speakers just by hanging out at Speakers Playhouse. So
Yes.
yeah, it's definitely
And
worth it.
if you are a show host, there's something called pod fade, right? Pod fade is when you start a podcast and after 7 to 12 shows, you're like, meh, that was the thing I did. I don't do it anymore, right? And that's pod fade is when it sort of like takes off and then it crashes and then there aren't any more episodes. And there are a lot of it. And I don't know, but it's something like 60 to 80% of podcasts die before the 12th episode and they don't have any more after that. Well, a great way to avoid pod fade is to have guests on your show. And if you can't find guests, come play at Speakers Playhouse and we will find you some awesome guests. Erica was sharing before the show that she filled her calendar with guests and they were very strong guests.
Yes.
Awesome. That she filled her calendar with guests. And then we have heard that before. Actually, I had a friend, Shiraz Babu, who came on and every week he would come forward and he'd say, I have this show and it's called XYZ and I'm looking for these kind of speakers. And then one week he didn't raise his hand as a show host. And I called him out and I was like, Shiraz, what's going on there? How come you're not sharing your show? And he goes, well, I'm filled for the entire season because I came to Speakers Playhouse and they filled my docket. I was like, wow, that's totally awesome. The same with Erica. She filled her docket by coming to Speakers Playhouse. So if you are a show host or if you have a podcast, radio show, TV show, a Clubhouse stage, a LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, webinar, webcasting, whatever you have that's a show where you have guest speakers, come to Speakers Playhouse and find your next lineup of amazing human beings who are ready to share their stories.
Yes. So could you tell us about the mastermind?
Yes, so we have something called the Playhouse Mastermind, Speakers Playhouse Mastermind, and it is an opportunity to get together with other speakers and really mastermind your talks and get your speaking game to the next level. We actually teach on 4 different types of stages. One of them is speak to sell, where you can get on a stage and make an offer, and at the end, hopefully you close the deal, right? And you have people take you up on your offer. One of them is paid speaking opportunities. So paid speaking opportunities are where people get paid to speak before they even get on the stage, right? And I say it's amazing to be able to get a check before you even put your high heel or your loafer on that stage, right? That's just really powerful. Somebody wants to pay you to share your knowledge with the world. And that can be a very fun and powerful way to make money. Speak to sell, you can actually not only make money from getting paid speaking and getting on that stage, but you can do speak to sell. Speak to sell can actually be more lucrative. I have watched people create 6 and 7-figure businesses and events out of getting on stage. We had a 3-day event where we had, I think, $1.something million worth of applications from people by the end of the 3-day event. And that was an event I was coaching at. And it was just amazing to watch people just opt in one right after another. Imagine changing your world like that in one 3-day event. Now, it was 3 days worth of amazing content and a really valuable product. But that's just, a few months away if you're learning how to do speak to sell. And it's definitely possible out there. So shoot for the stars or shoot for the, what is it? Shoot for the stars and you might land on the moon or something like that.
Yep. That's it. I was just about to ask you what you thought about enrollment events, but I think you like them too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it depends on the audience. You've got to attract the right kind of audience into your group, right? You want to attract your people, the people who already know, like, and trust you, or would be in that category if they knew you, right? And then give them an opportunity to build that know, like, and trust while you're on the stage. And that's the cool thing. If you are sending out information in an email, those are words. Words represent about 7% of our communication. Just the words alone are only 7%. So in your email, I don't care how well it's crafted, you're only communicating with them with about 7% of your power. The other things that are in there are your verbal communication. Now, when you're on a podcast, you get to adapt that verbal communication, right? They can hear the inflection in your voice. They can hear your enthusiasm. They can hear how you approach things and what you emphasize. But then step it up one more and do video like this, a Facebook Live or a summit, and they can see your body language. They can see who you are. They can connect with your personality. They know who you are culturally, they know who you are and your energy, and they can pick up on all of those different pieces, and they can see you and connect with you as a human being, not just a voice and a disembodied voice. Now, I'm not shunning podcasts because I think they're amazing. I have a podcast of my own, but I also do a lot of video because I feel like people connect with people. And ever since COVID, we haven't been able to physically connect as much as we used to. And so having the opportunity to see somebody live and be able to interact with them is extremely powerful. So the Speakers Playhouse Mastermind is an opportunity to connect with other speakers, to learn the game and the business of public speaking, and be able to up your game and connect with real stages that are helping you be able to advance your business in entrepreneurship or public speaking. And we, as I said, we bring in luminaries that teach on various different aspects of that. You also get an opportunity to play and practice with the other members. So for those of you who are like, I just need a safe space to rehearse, but it's not, Toastmasters is great, but Toastmasters, you might get a 5 to 7 minute speech every 2 months. In our mastermind, you actually are working and workshopping every 2 weeks with people who are also speakers. So you really get an opportunity to get immersed in that and practice and get feedback on your talk from professionals, public speakers, and other speakers who are up in their game.
Is there like an application to join? Do you only allow so many people at a time?
We do. We actually we do cap out, but we actually just changed our model. So we are doing a group program, and we are able to bring in some additional people, which is fantastic. The way to start would probably be to come to Speakers Playhouse, meet me sort of virtually, and start playing with us. And every week at Speakers Playhouse, we do offer the mastermind, or usually we do, and we offer that as an opportunity to come join us and play with us when it's available and when we're accepting new applications. But that is the best way to come, and it's free. It's a free event every Thursday, so come experience the fun. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing. So we will have fun. It will be the best 90 minutes of your week or your money back. And if you are not having fun, then you don't have to come back the next week, right? But we guess you probably will.
If you would happen to have a link to Speakers Playhouse, I will happily share it.
That would be great. So I have it up here, but also I would love to give out your affiliate link so that we can track back people that came from virtual talk. And I will be glad to share that in the show notes. So, or you can go to speakersplayhouse.com. But if you click on the link in the show notes, then we'll be able to know that you came from Erica's group, and we can send her thank you notes that she sent us amazing people.
Hooray. So, how do you get started being a paid speaker? How did you get your neighbors to give you a dime to come hear you speak?
Well, I did, but I'm not sure it was the right way. In fact, I'm not sure there is any right way to get paid speaking gigs. But when you have a mentor or a guide or a coach, I actually work with a coach who guarantees that you'll make $150,000 a year minimum your first year of public speaking. And I signed up with this coach. She's absolutely amazing. If you want to connect with me, I'll connect you with her, and I'll do a personal introduction for you. But it's an opportunity to really make paid speaking a way to earn income, to share your knowledge with the world, but then also to get paid for that. Because we all want to make an impact in the world. We all want to contribute to the rest of the world, but we don't want to go broke doing it, right? So there isn't anything wrong with getting paid for your knowledge and your skills and your abilities. And this is just another way to do that. So how do you get your first paid speaking gig? You can do it the way that I did and go around the neighborhood and talk about how amazing your magic show is going to be and charge people a dime for it. Or you can learn from a coach or hook up with a program like Speakers Playhouse and learn from experts who have done significantly more than I did that particular day. I think I might have collected $1.10. That might have been what happened.
Wow. So when I met you, you were speaking at Steve Erickson event. I can't remember the name of it, but shout out to Event Raptor. That's his program.
Event.
You I was already hosting this show, and you asked me, have I been on any other shows? And I told you I was scared. And he was like, when you have a chance to grab the mic, you get on stage.
Oh,
And I
yes.
wanted to let you know, ever since then, I have been on more stage because Kimberly Crow told me to.
Oh, Erica, I love that you shared that with me. Thank you so much. That was very generous of you to say. I do have a saying, if somebody hands you a mic, you say yes. And that's the rule, right? Like if somebody hands me a mic, I say yes. And I was actually at Speakers Playhouse Live, and I was at teaching at an event, and somebody said, can you come and speak at this other event during Speakers Playhouse? And not the 30-minute set or the 90-minute session, but during our 3-day live event. And they had asked me to come speak, and it was 8 o'clock at night. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm at this 3-day event. No way can I do that. And I thought, no, if somebody hands you a mic, you say yes. And so during the event, we were actually at dinner. I was like, I got to step out. Somebody handed me a mic, and I stepped out and I did the I think it was a Facebook Live, and it was a 20-minute show. And at the end of the 20 minutes, I came back in and I was like, yep, if somebody hands me a mic, I say yes. So I figure I had to follow my own advice on that one. But I'm so delighted. And I really believe, and you can share with me if this is true or not, but I believe that your impact in the world that you have poured into other human beings because you grabbed the mic, because you've been on more shows, because you said yes, then that you have been able to impact the lives of many, many other human beings, and they are the better off for it. Do you believe that's true?
I do believe that's true. It's so much stuff that I know. I just assume that other people know. And when I start to speak, they find out stuff. And I'm like, everybody didn't know that?
That is so true. And a lot of people suffer from imposter syndrome. And that means like, oh, probably everybody already knows this. And who am I really to share this knowledge, right? So there are things that I think, just like you do, that everybody already knows that. So why am I here to share that? And there have been so many times where people said, I really got this takeaway from Kimberly, and that really changed how I show up in the world. And even if they never were a customer of mine, if I can make that kind of impact in the world where I can ignite a fire in somebody else, where I can ignite an idea in somebody else, it can be very powerful. So yes, I love that. I think that that is really an amazing way to make a contribution to the world.
I told that because I wanted people to know that you gave me that information for free. So if I got that great information from you for free, imagine what it is to work with you one on one or in the group coaching in the mastermind.
Well, it's for many people, it's going to be fun, right? Because if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. And I really do think it doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be anything other than fun. I did work for many years in corporate, and 15 of them were fun. And then the last two, not so much. I was there for 17 years. And I thought, why am I doing this? We only have one life to live. Why am I spending my time doing something that really I'm not enjoying? Now, if you don't enjoy a day at work, we all have days at work, right? If you don't enjoy a week at work, that's kind of tough, and you get vacation coming up. If it gets to be a month or longer, or in my case, 2 years, you've got to make a change, right? It's got to be fun or it's not worth doing. So when you work with a coach, you're going to learn stuff. But also, I want you to enjoy it. I want you to have fun doing it. So if it's not fun, it's not worth doing is my methodology. When you come play with us at Speakers Playhouse, it will feel like play. It will feel like joy. And if it's not the best 90 minutes of your week at Speakers Playhouse, then you don't have to come back. But I'm guessing a lot of people do put in hashtag, this is the best 90 minutes of my week. And it's so fun. And that's really very, very high energy. So I would love to work with your folks. I would love for them to come play with us and just check it out for free. And if they want to engage with us in a higher level, we would love to have them as part of our tribe and part of our mastermind, and come play with us in New Orleans or in Dallas. It's a great opportunity to be able to do that. So thank you for that shout out.
Yeah. It it's always great to see you wherever events you are. I gotta ask, how do you keep up your energy though? I do see you around a lot. So how do you keep up your energy for being on stage?
So I do think that's something unique about me, and we all have unique characteristics, but I do get that comment a lot, like, where does her energy come from? Is it coffee? And I will tell you, this is decaf today. So yeah, there is a spark that's there that may be a little bit more unique to me. But people have called me like she's the Energizer Bunny. You know, somebody actually once said, and I don't love this one, but they said, Kimberly, she's the human vibrator. And I'm like, well, I don't think I like that one so much, but there are other ones that people are like, she's got a lot of energy, and I get that. And it's been a lot of fun to help other people feel inspired about speaking, to feel like they can do it too. And I think that's what lights me up, is when other people have the brave ability to grab the mic and share their knowledge with the world. The way I look at it is, even a fourth grader is a genius to a second grader. Remember when you went to a brand new school and you were a second grader and you're like, I don't know where the lunch goes. I don't know where my desk is. I don't know where we're supposed to hang our jackets. I don't know who I'm allowed to talk to or who the bullies are or anything like that. And if you could meet a fourth grader who was like, I got you covered. This is where we put the lunch sacks. This is where we hang our jackets. And these are the people that we hang out with. This is where you sit at lunchtime. This is where you get your food. And everybody here is really nice. You're going to feel a lot better. So even if you just have a little bit of knowledge, that can be genius to somebody who has a little bit less. Think of who you were 5 years ago. Could you give your 5 years ago self some advice? Yes, right?
Yes.
For instance, I would tell my 5 year ago self, like my 5 years ago self would think that my now self is a genius. And my now self is going to think my 5 years self ahead of me is a genius, right? So you can be that for somebody else. There are people in your audience right now, for example, who know what fork to use first at a fancy dinner. And there are people in your audience who have no idea how to do that, right? Like which one to use first. And some people will be like, oh yeah, I know that. And I'll say, okay. They'll say it's you eat from the outside in, right? You eat from the furthest out fork in. That's the answer to that question. But then there is a fork and sometimes a spoon on the top of your plate. What's that one for? So if you know the answer to that, you can put the answer in the show notes. That'll be our little quiz for today, unless you know it. Erica, do you know it?
I was going to say soup, but I wasn't sure.
It's usually the dessert at the top of the plate. It's usually the dessert. But great question. And sometimes at a fancy dinner, they will actually bring you silverware for the appropriate thing that you're about to eat right now. But not always. Depends on how many courses there are. Usually they lay it out all at once. But some of your audience may have known that, and some of your audience may not have. Think that even if that little tiny piece of knowledge that you picked up from your mom or your grandmother or your father or a friend, that piece of knowledge could be useful to somebody else who needs it. So you can monetize your knowledge with something as small as knowing which fork to use first. And the proof in the pudding of that is that Miss Manners wrote an entire column about manners and which fork to use first, right? She knew the proper etiquette, and she wrote made an entire living just on etiquette.
I feel bad. I've had 2 etiquette classes and I didn't know the answer.
Well, they just didn't know, or they didn't teach it to you, and you shouldn't feel that at all.
So you said that you were a fan of the 3-day events, enrollment events. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
What is one of the first things you do to prepare yourself to host a 3-day event?
So a 3-day event, I encourage you to do it with a friend. Find a friend, right? And make sure that you have support. You cannot pull off a 3-day event with more than, say, 4 or 5 people. And that's really just a club that you're having, but that's okay. It's a good practice, right? But if you're going to have more than 4 or 5 people, if you're going to have 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 or 150, you need to find a friend to help you with it, because 3 days is a long time for you to be on, and 3 days is a long time for you to be able to handle the issues that come up with a 3-day event. So find a friend, work with somebody who can help you get shine on stage. Your job, if you're imparting the knowledge, is to be on stage sharing with the audience. But when somebody comes up, if it's a live 3-day event, if somebody comes up and says, where are the bathrooms, or my Wi-Fi isn't working, you can't be handling those issues when you're trying to be brilliant on stage, right? So you need to have other people supporting you. And those can be tech hosts, those can be just friends of yours that came to support you. And also you're going to want people in the audience to hear how the audience is feeling, right? To chat with people and find out how they're doing, if they're getting the right information, if they're confused about anything that you said on stage. Erica, you mentioned something really powerful, which is, you don't know that what other people don't know. You thought they already knew that. That is extreme. Everybody on the planet feels that way, right? Like I thought everybody knew that. When you get on stage and you share something and you assume everybody knows public speaking is the same thing as podcasting. Podcasting is a form of public speaking. So is a Facebook Live. And a stage could be a virtual stage as well as a physical stage. When I get on stage, sometimes I assume everybody knows that. Not true, right? If you have somebody in the audience and they're like, well, where are all the stages? I thought COVID hit and we're not allowed to do stages anymore. And then you're like, oh, right, I have to give this knowledge to people. So when you're doing a 3-day event, be sure that you have other people there loving on you, supporting you. And as I say, find a friend who's going to be there to be able to help you through those 3-day events. Now, your focus should be being able to impart knowledge to the audience, and that's your primary focus, not the Wi-Fi, not where are the bathrooms, not my hotel room sucks. None of those problems should be your problems, right? So that's for other people to help you with. And then at the end, do not be afraid to give your call to action. Now, your call to action is going to be in a 3-day event. It's probably going to be an invite to a higher end program. Maybe it's a $5,000 program. Maybe it's a $10,000 program. Maybe it's a $25,000 program. And you're going to do that invite. And a lot of people freeze at that point or rush their offer. And I have some advice for people who are thinking, well, I don't know how to do that. Or maybe they've seen people on stage and they've seen like those people choke, or they don't want to be salesy. So here's the thing. When you do a 3-day event and people have been with you for those 3 days, they've built their know, like, and trust. They're still there. They consider what you've given valuable. If they didn't, they would have left on the first day. Now, some people might have left on the first day and great. They were not your people, right? That's not a bad thing. Now you have the people in your room who are really interested in you and what you have to offer. So don't be afraid to give your call to action, because the people who are there are not thinking, what is she going to sell me? The people who are there are thinking, I really hope that what she's about to say can solve the problem that I have. And I really hope that I'm going to be able to afford it when she does. That's what they're thinking. So if you go in with that approach, like, I am here to tell you what I can do to solve your problem, they're going to be happy. And if you make it possible for them to afford it in a variety of different ways, then they're going to be happy. And there will be people who don't take your offer. They may be really wanting to take your offer, but they just can't, or it's not the right timing, or there's a variety of reasons. They may want to keep seeing you. They may want to come to your next 3-day event and buy then. That's happened more times than most people believe. We do surveys after our events and find out where the audience is. We don't just talk to the people who buy, we talk to the people who don't buy. And sometimes we hear the most amazing things like, oh my God, I loved Erica. She's so my people. I can't wait to work with her. Unfortunately, I have family coming in and they're going to be here for the entire month of December, and her event kicks off in December and I won't be able to focus. I'm hoping that she has another event that's in February and I will join then. That can be really reassuring for the people who only got 1 or 2 signups or no signups, if they hear that people really, really loved them and wanted to get in, but they just couldn't for this reason or that reason. So I encourage you to survey your audience afterwards and find out not only why they did buy, but why they didn't buy, and ask those questions, because it may give you just the insight you need to have the courage to do your next 3-day event.
Yeah. Do you ask your speakers to help you to promote? And if yes, how do you get them to do it?
So that is a great question. That speaks to my summit events. So we teach a very formulaic way to do virtual summits, and that is having 36 to 70 speakers on an event at a given time. And we do ask our people to promote. We want you to share. If you're going to be on my summit, we want you to share that with your network. We want you to tell people, I'm going to be speaking on Kimberly's event. That makes it great for you. But when all of the other speakers are sharing as well and telling their audience about it, then you are going to get, as a speaker, you're going to get the benefit of other people bringing people to that event. Now, we do recommend for our events, when we teach people how to do summits, we recommend that the summits attendees can attend for free. That way there's the lowest barrier to entry. All they need to do is give their email address and their first name. We don't even make them give a phone number or a credit card or anything. And they can come join us for free. That lets us have the widest audience possible. Usually over 1,000 people register for the event because all of our speakers are promoting the event and sharing it with their tribe. If you are speaking anywhere, we recommend that whether the audience, the host asks you to or not, please share it with your audience. Before we went live in Eric with this event right here, Erica said, I'm going to share this with my group. And I was like, how can I share it with my group? So now it's actually posted on Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel as well, because I want to share that I am speaking with my tribe. Why would you not want to share that with your folks? They have an opportunity to get to see you, get to build that know, like, and trust. You're pouring into them, and it costs you nothing to be able to do that. So when you speak on anywhere, we recommend that you advertise it to your group, right? I'm speaking here, I'm speaking there. I just did a TEDx. Of course, I told my people about that, right? I'm doing a TEDx talk, and they wanted to watch it. And it's absolutely fantastic to have a supportive audience there while you are growing your TEDx following, right? It's a great opportunity to do that. So share, if you're a speaker, please share it with your audience and your tribe that you're speaking. If you're a show host, please don't be afraid to ask your speakers to share that they're speaking. It's a great opportunity to be able to get seen and heard for both of you in a bigger way. How do I get my people to promote? We actually lock it in as mandatory for our folks that they get a certain number of people to register for the event. We don't charge tickets again, so we're not asking them to sell tickets for us, but we do have a minimum number of registrations. So if you have a list of 15 people, and that's all you have, you can still play on my summit. You just have to get a minimum of 15 registrations. So maybe 14 of your people and one really good friend of yours sign up. Great, you got 15. That's all we really care about. And then we encourage you to go for the leaderboard prizes, but that's another subject. And so we find that once you do that and you have, when you count registrations, you get a different group of people on your summits. A lot of people will make the mistake, in my opinion, of saying, well, in order to be on my summit, you have to have a list of 5,000 or 10,000. First off, you're going to rule out a lot of really good, powerful speakers that just don't have a list of 5,000, but maybe they have really great knowledge that you want to share with your audience. Why would you rule those people out from being able to pour into your audience? And then there are people with a list of the reason that I started doing it, counting registrations, is because I had somebody with 125,000 people on their list. And they said, well, I'll promote once. And I was like, great, just once is going to get me 2,000 people. Fantastic. They got 0 signups for a free event. 0. So it's really not about the size of your list. It's really about the responsiveness of it. I tease and say that list size is like dress size on a woman or private part size on a man, that nobody should be talking about the size because it doesn't matter, right? It's what you do with it, what happens next, right? So it's private and nobody should be asking those questions anyway. So I do have a large list of entrepreneurs. I don't mind sharing that my list is 25,000 entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, and authors. And it's a very, very responsive list as well. We can outperform people with 150. I have one person that I compete against that has 1 million people on their list. Their list is not all that responsive because it's so various, right? They have people on there that are donut shop owners and people on there who are children and people on there who are, not interested in the same kinds of things entrepreneurs are interested in. When I sign up to promote somebody's event, if I promote it, we're going to get hundreds of people, if not over 1,000 people interested in whatever we're promoting, because it's very targeted, right? We have a very specific niche of people, and they are very engaged because they get a lot of free value from paying attention to what we advertise. So great opportunities to be able to speak and share your message when you speak, and a good opportunity to help out your show host as well.
Yeah, I like to call it a cross-pollination of speakers. I want to give everyone a tip, just in case they didn't know. A good way to help promote for an event is to put it on your banners wherever you have social. Like, I'm going to speak at Kimberly Crow's event on this date, and the most important thing is the name of the event, the date and time. Make
Yeah.
sure that is the biggest thing that's on there.
That's a really good point. And also, if there's a cost, people like to know before they click if there's a cost to the event. And then finally, don't forget to leave that link, some
Yes.
way for them to engage. And every once in a while, the links will break or something will go wrong with them, and that happens. People are usually very understanding with that. Like, I really do want to go to the event. What's the link? So make sure that you have that on there as well. But that's a great tip to put it actually on your banner. I had not thought of that. That's very clever.
That wherever you have social, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and that one link you're allowed, even if you're using a link tree, let that be the first link in that link tree.
Ooh, good advice. So what is a link tree for the people who don't know? I don't actually have a link tree. I should, but what is a link tree?
So it's like, let's say we're in Instagram and you get that one link in bio, and that one link is your link tree. You click that link and it'll give you a list of links.
A list of links. Okay, so you can have all of your links posted on there. Do you have it? Is it like a web page that you can say, like, you can have a picture and a link to that and a picture and a link to that, or is it just a listing of links?
It can be like a mini landing page. If you're a fan of AppSumo, I think they got some up now for like $29 lifetime deal. I can't remember the name of it, but if you put in the search bar, link tree or link list, it should show up.
Wow.
Some of them are like mini landing pages, and some of them are just lists. But
Yeah.
there's a saying about if you give people too many options, they won't choose anything.
Uh-huh.
So I'll
I think
say
be
I'll
careful.
say your top three
Your
if
top
you're
three.
going to use. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if they're given too many choices, a confused mind never makes a decision. So they won't click
Yeah.
on, they'll just be like, wow, that was super overwhelming. Really good point. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, so summits are a really powerful thing. I know that you do summits as well, and you help people put on summits. Do you find that people resist doing that, or they feel overwhelmed about it, or they feel like they can't find the number of speakers, or their speakers won't promote, or they won't get an audience? Or what do you think the number one thing is that people resist doing summits or resist doing virtual events for?
The number one thing I hear is that it is a daunting task and they don't want to be stressed about it. I'm
Oh,
like, no, summits are fun. Use some automation. Let stuff work for you. They're like, automation, that sounds like another tool I'll have to learn. I'm like, you can ask for help. People are here and available and willing and wanting to help you.
That's right. So if you feel like you want to do this and you would be able to gather a group of amazing speakers, maybe by going to Speakers Playhouse, and want to put together an event, but are daunted by the technology, I think Erica is obviously a very positive human being. She's going to be there with you, and she could be your friend that you find when you go out to do your summit. Definitely do an event with other people, and it makes it easier because then you don't have to be responsible for knowing everything. You have your area of expertise. And if you leverage that and don't try to be all things to all people, and don't try to do the things that you're not capable of doing, it can be a lot more successful. I find, I don't know if you believe this may be a comment that appears sexist, but I feel like women have a tendency to want to figure things out and want to like do it themselves. Like, I don't want to pay somebody to do my website. I want to figure it out. I did that, right? But I feel like men have a tendency to be like, I don't want to do that. I'm just ready to write a check. Can you make that problem go away? And I think that I'm not sure which is if the one is better than the other, but I do feel like if you want to make that problem of technology go away, that you need to find a friend who loves doing that technology and finds that easy to do. And if you feel like public speaking is not easy, then find a friend who does feel like it's easy to do and learn from them. So great opportunities for both sides, but you don't have to be all things to all people. My favorite way of making money is when somebody else sells something, right? That's my favorite way of making money. So I am happy to advertise programs that I believe in to my list if I believe they're going to be served very well. A friend I mentioned who can help you create $150,000 in your first year of public speaking has a very formulaic way to do that. She's really good at what she does. She's made close to $500,000 a year in public speaking, and she can teach you how to do that as well. You have to follow the formula and you have to do your homework, but if you do that, she has gotten amazing results for people, and she guarantees those results. I am confident to share her message with the world because I've seen it in action, and I don't know how to do that the way that she knows how to do that. I've learned from her, but I am not the expert. She is. So when I can put other people in front of another expert who does it better than I can, way better, and I can focus what I do well, which is have fun and get out with other speakers and network and enjoy the opportunity to help you find stages and find your niche in the world.
I like that. Well, Kimberly, I've kept you almost an hour. Again, let people know where they can reach you.
They can come to Speakers Playhouse at speakersplayhouse.com. So that's speakers with an S, playhouse.com. And we will put Erica's affiliate link in the chat box if you want to join us, or you can just let us know that Erica sent you our way, and we would love to send her a thank you for that. It's a great opportunity to be able to come and network with other speakers, and it will be the best 90 minutes of your week. It is a great, fun activity that you can come any Thursday from 10:30 in the morning Pacific until noon Pacific, and I believe that's 1:30 to 3 Eastern if you're in the Eastern time zone. And we have people from all over the world who join. We have people from New Zealand, from the UK. We have people from Egypt join. We have people from Sweden join. We have people from all over. So if you want to network with some really fun entrepreneurs and speakers, we would encourage you to come to Speakers Playhouse at speakersplayhouse.com.
Thank you, Kimberly.